All right, Rick, it's that time. So we're going to talk about Cordarrelle Patterson. And this is an interesting one because you guys had 3 first-round picks in this 2013 draft class. And that first round of the 2013 class was tough. Like looking back on it, it was hard to find players, and you found some good ones. You got Xavier Rhodes at 25. You took Sharif Floyd 2 picks earlier, 23. Then you traded back up at 29 to get Cordarrelle Patterson. And I'll just tell you, in case you forgot what you gave up. You gave up the 2013 second-round pick, which turned into Jamie Collins. You gave up a 2013 third-rounder, which turned into Logan Ryan, 2 good football players. 2013 fourth-rounder ended up being Josh Boyce. And then a 2013 7th-rounder was Everett Dawkins, all to the Patriots. And you got Cordarrelle, of course. And let me say this first. He's a wide receiver, but he also did some returning, obviously, and was very successful at Tennessee. What was your plan for him offensive scheme-wise? Because now he's one of the best running backs in the NFL when you brought him in to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I always got intrigued with guys this size with unique athletic traits. And, when you're behind the scenes, and let me just tell you what happened in that draft. So we took Xavier Rhodes, he ended up being a very good player for us. Sharif Floyd would have been a very good player for us, but he had the knee issue and then had some, an incident at a hospital that I don't want to get into, but ended up costing him his career. So I was we had a good first day. We got 2 potential starters coming out of this draft. So I went down to the press conference to start talking. Well, when I'm down there at the press conference, I have George Payton, Rob Brzezinski, all my guys. They continue to work the phones. And all of a sudden, they get New England on the phone. And I think we ended up trading with New England.
That's right.
So I'm up there at the press conference.
Hey, Rick, let me stop you though quickly. Let me ask you. So you knew that you were going to talk about the Xavier Rhodes pick, and your the guys you work with had instructions to let's try to get Cordarrelle, or just to get back in the first round for something else?
Yeah, no, we were talking about specifically Cordarrelle because he was just such a unique athlete. So I said, hey, just fish around just to see if there's anything there. I've got to go down and do this press conference. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest with you. But I knew that we liked him. And then I went down, did the press conference. I was right in the middle of talking about either Xavier or Sharif. And then all of a sudden they pulled me off the stage. And so I was like, what? I was like, I'm on a roll here. I'm getting up here.
You got fired?
Like, yeah. I was like, no, I thought we had a good draft. And all of a sudden I got pulled up there, and I walk into the room. I said, what the hell's going on? And they says, listen, I think we can get Cordarrelle Patterson. We got a deal that we can work out because George and Rob Brzezinski handled all the trade talks for me, because you're sitting there watching the board and monitoring and moving guys here and there. So I always had those 2 that were my 2 lieutenants that did a great job working the phones. And so they said, I think we got a deal for Cordarrelle Patterson. So we did a lot of pre-draft work on him. He was a kid that, if you remember, was a JC kid. Yeah. He didn't show up to Tennessee, I believe, until August, and was only there for 6. Yeah, was only there for 6 months. And when you watch this kid's athletic ability and his ability to run at that size and his ability to go up and catch, I was like, this kid's pretty intriguing. He's going to be a project. But you can't teach or coach what he has. So we spent a lot of time on, can he learn how to play receiver? At the time, we had Bill Musgrave as our offensive coordinator, George Stewart as our receiver coach. And usually behind the scenes, when you're talking to your coaches, I said, I like this kid as an athlete. I said, can he learn how to play receiver? And so you rely on your coaching staff, who also spend a lot of time with him. And George Stewart actually went to his pro day down in Tennessee and came back and had rave reviews, like visiting with the kid, took him out to dinner, spent some time with him. So we were very intrigued with it. And we knew that he can be an impact player right off the bat as a kickoff returner. We didn't know if he can do punt return, but he can definitely do kickoff return. And I believe he's the all-time leading touchdown record holder in the NFL right now with 8 or 9 kickoff returns for touchdowns. And he won a lot of games for us that. So when Bill Musgrave was the coordinator, he was up for potential rookie of the year. They were using him on jet sweeps. I remember putting him all over the place because I don't know if he was ever going to learn to just be a route runner. Okay, you go up 12 yards, and then you take a sharp turn to the right. But count your steps as you're going. He was more of an athlete to just get the ball in his hands and let's see what he can do. So we did a lot of creative things with him his rookie year. Then we changed, and then didn't fit the system that Norv wanted because he wasn't a true receiver. So he kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. But we kept him on special teams. He ended up being one of our leading tacklers on special teams, along with winning us some games as a kickoff returner. But we couldn't find a position for him. I loved Cordarrelle's attitude. I loved his personality. He just goes out there and has fun. So then he bounced around. We didn't sign him back because we didn't have a position for him. He went to, I believe, Chicago for a little bit, went to New England for a little bit. Then he ended up down in Atlanta, and they put him in at running back. And now, look what he's done as a running back down there. And those are the things that you go back and forth with when you're behind the scenes, you're having these draft meetings. Can he actually learn a position, or is he just a phenomenal athlete? And are there ways that we can get him the ball so he can create plays for us because he's just so naturally gifted? And so they found a niche for him down in Atlanta. I know he took another 1 or 2 kickoff returns back for touchdowns this year as a kickoff returner that actually set an NFL record for a number of kickoff returns. But that's kind of the story behind that pick.
That's a great story. So you were trading back up with the thoughts of Cordarrelle. You weren't necessarily looking at another wide receiver. Some of the other wide receivers that were yet to be drafted, Devon Austin and Dre Hopkins, went ahead of where Cordarrelle went. And then next up was Justin Hunter, Robert Woods, Aaron Dobson, Terrence Williams, Keenan Allen. And then after that, there's sort of a little drop off. So was there any other conversations about trading up for any other player, or you were just interested in
Patterson?
We
were just very intrigued with the athlete and how we can implement his athleticism, whether it was returning, whether it was doing this or doing that, not specifically, okay, we're going to draft just a receiver.
Right.
We just wanted to get another playmaker that could put points on the board for us. And whichever way that he was going to do that, whether it was handing the ball off to him, whether it was jet sweeps, he was great on a couple of reverse passes throwing the ball. He was a phenomenal. He could have been a quarterback the way he throws the ball. I've seen him in practice throw the ball 70 yards down the field without even thinking about it. But the one thing that I learned from that is that you just have to make sure that everybody's on the same page and there's a specific plan in place on how you're going to utilize this kid's talent.
So we'll end on this quickly. So you mentioned Norv came in and didn't.
I could give you an example real quick.
Yeah.
It was Percy Harvin. When we drafted Percy Harvin, it was the same situation. Was he a running back? Was he a receiver? Was he a return specialist? He was another one of those guys that was just a freak athlete at his position, and he ended up winning Rookie of the Year.
And interestingly enough, you traded Percy Harvin that same draft to the Seahawks for the pick that allowed you to get Xavier Rhodes, and for the 2014 third rounder that became Jerick McKinnon, who's still balling out. So that worked out as well. And I think you would agree, Cordarrelle Patterson, that pick worked out for the Vikings, right? Even though at the end of the day, Norv necessarily didn't have a place for him, it seemed like he, as you pointed out, scored a lot of points.
He was just too good of an athlete and too good of a football player. It's just you got to make sure that when you're in these meetings that there is a specific plan in place. Otherwise, you end up potentially wasting a pick.